Good morning. Welcome back to Jammer 360. It's early in the morning. It's just around 7 and we have started entering into the Panama Canal. We have not yet reached the locks, but you can see we have started to the point where they started cutting into the island, or actually the peninsula. This big bridge here is fairly new. It's so you can drive the length without having to take a ferry or any other way. So from here you can see the two different routes. One going east to west, one going west to east. So we're now getting ready to enter into the very first lock. It's very slow going. As you can see, the tugboat down here is helping guide us. Once we actually get in the lock, they will tie off the boat so it'll stay centered, and then the boat's going to be raised 27 feet, and then we'll move on to the next lock, which will raise us up to the level of the lake. So we're starting to enter into the lock, like I said, and right there is the pool of water. What it does is the water from that pool will be poured into the lock to raise the ship. It's done by gravity, and that's actually fresh water that comes from the lake. So right there is a boat moving out from the other locks on the other side over here. Now in these locks, our ship can clear with a lot of space. I think we have like 32 feet on either side of the boat and 64 feet in front and back, or 264 feet front and back. Now the old locks, the ship wouldn't fit. Still creeping in. We're almost all the way in this thing. Our room is about midshift, and we're on our balcony right now. So our part of the ship has gone in. Funny thing is, I don't know if you can really see them. Let me see. But these people here, they're actually taking pictures of us, taking pictures of them. So this right here, this is the gate. So it goes all the way up here, and it will slide close, goes halfway, and there's one on the other side. So once we're all the way in, they'll lock this behind us. Alright, so there's the workers, and they are getting ready to throw the lines to the boat. So once it's in there, these big yellow cleats, you can see them, where's my, so those yellow cleats there is what they tie the ropes up to. So after they throw it on here, after the ship gets to where we're going to need to be, they'll throw those on here, tie the boat up so it'll stay centered. So if you see these numbers down here, that one actually says 1,250 feet going that way and 150 feet to the back. And as you go down, it'll count off how close we are getting to the front of the boat, or the front of the lock, and how far it is from the back of the lock, so you know when your ship can clear. It's also on these yellow signs, just in bigger increments. Let's see if I can zoom in for you. Like that one says 1,100 feet, and then the one right after it's 1,000. So it's like every 100 So they're starting to throw the lines out now. Zoom it in a little better. Took the guy a couple throws to make it across. Now they're pulling the bigger ropes over from it. As you can see, everything goes really slow, so that kind of explains why it takes so long for a ship to completely navigate the 50 miles of the canal. And just ponder that in your head. 50 miles dug through a country at the turn of the century when the equipment they used was very rudimentary. A lot of it was just dynamite. And most of the people that worked down here, they were Americans, so they came down here and they weren't prepared for the climate. So lots of people got sick, lots of people died. But this was Teddy Roosevelt's dream. Now, several years before Teddy Roosevelt started this whole project, a French company, they tried to do this, but they didn't get very far. They were very unsuccessful. And there's an even better picture of the reservoirs. That water will soon be pumped over here to our side once we completely get in here and they close the gates behind us. Alright, we are lifting up now. I don't know if you can see. Now we've got that big blue rope there. We're all tied up and we started raising up. So the ship's captain, he doesn't even have to really navigate this thing. What they have is they have these pilot boats that run with the ship and they take over the navigation of the ship. And then as we get close to the locks, some of the Panamanian people that work the locks, they actually come on board and they handle the navigation that the pilot boat can't do. Even though today is the coolest day we've had, it says that it's like 78 right now, but you can see the clouds overhead and it is humid as heck out here, so it still feels like it's almost 90. But maybe the sun will start to break. It's getting a little bit lighter over here, but it is still getting really dark over there. So I don't know what in the world we can expect. Well, I don't know if you can really tell, but we are way up in the air now and we've crossed over that concrete barrier in the fill up. So I think we're getting real close to being able to be moved to the next level.
Ready to move on to the second step, to be raised again another 28 feet.
Oh, starting to open the gate.
The ship will use its own power to give it initials. The pilot gets in touch with the lockmaster.
So now they're starting to untie the ropes.
To open or close the gates, or to let the water from one side to the other once the ship is ready, or waiting for this to happen.
Alright, so the lock is almost open. We'll move into the next spot and then it'll raise us another 27 feet. Okay, you can see we're right at the water edge. There's only about 6-7 feet of dry space from the water. And then we're going to enter into this lock, and again we'll be way below and we'll be raised up that 27 feet. According to the yellow sign there, we have 100 feet to go before we're out of this lock. And here we come up on the gates. So here we are halfway into the second lock, and you can see how far down the water line is. And then they have a separate set of pools for this lock. You can still see the pools from the other lock. You can see they've almost filled back up. So we're now entering into the third and I believe final lock that we're going to go through. And you can barely see off in the distance over here is the big lake we're going to go into. And you can see a big ship out there waiting its turn to come back out. Since I'm just sitting here on the balcony waiting us to go through the next couple of locks, I guess I can tell you about yesterday in Cartagena. I did get a couple of magnets because you know how I am with those. I got one that showed stuff of the old castle and stuff, but then just as we were getting ready back on the boat, I found one, actually Wendy found one, of the party bus that we were on, that you see all the dancing and stuff in the Cartagena video. So it's kind of neat. It was the most I spent for on any magnet. It was like $7. Most of them I get for like $1 or $2, but thought we'd splurge because it was such a fun bus to be on. Alrighty, so we are leaving the last lock. We're heading out into the lake. We're actually going to go out there. If you see all those other ships out there, we're going to go out there and anchor for a couple hours and get our turn to come back out. As you can see, they're very careful with ships as they start heading to the canal. This big ship here in front of us, they got 6 tugboats that are keeping it lined up and pulling it over towards the locks. So we're sitting here in the lake. The big ships have kind of gotten out of our way, and it's actually a pretty nice little place. Some little islands off in here. A lot more mountains than I thought. Especially right back in there, some islands. So we're heading back in to go back to the Atlantic side, and right up here is like an observation center and a kind of a museum of the canal. There's a bunch of people up there looking at us. And here's the 2 tugboats that helped us come in. So we're going to have to take 3 locks to drop back down to sea level. There's the people up there waving down at us. I guess seeing a cruise ship go through the Panama Canal is something worth lining up for. You can see it right there, but there's the flag of Panama. It's the same flag that's on this ship. This ship happens to be flagged in Panama. Most of the cruise ships are either flagged in Panama or Nassau, the Bahamas. See that big tanker back there getting in the lock right behind us. So going back the other way, we're gonna get a slightly different look of the locks. In fact, that thing right there is the control tower of everything. They're the ones that control the locks. So we're pulling out, and we'll just take one last look of the locks of the Panama Canal. And I don't know why there are vultures flying over us. And a big bug. So it's kind of funny, as we've been going through the canal there, my dad went upstairs for lunch and happened to run into a classmate of his that he's known since the 1st grade. So, you know, it's not that crazy considering this boat goes out of Texas, and nearly all of our graduates from our schools in Oklahoma, everybody moves to Texas anyways. but it's still pretty crazy. Considering he graduated high school in 1958. So here's the Bridge of America, or of the Americas. We're gonna go up underneath it. This morning we were up on the top deck. We went underneath it.
Oh, you started up there, huh?
Yeah.
Go for it now. Once we get.
Yeah, we're still in
the barrels,
Canal Channel. Yeah. Well, there's quite a few ships set up
All right, so we've gone under the Bridge of the Americas. We have just a little bit farther and we'll be completely clear of the Panama Canal, but we're basically out of it now. From this morning when we first started looking, just before we came to this bridge, it was about 6:45 a.m. and we went through 3 locks. Then we went into the big lake. We stayed in the lake for a couple hours and did the locks all the way back out again. And a little over 8 hours has passed. It's now 3:30, so it's been what, 8 hours and 50 minutes that we've been transiting this. If we would have done the entire length of the canal, it could be anywhere from 12 to 18 hours to get across. It's funny, they charge by how much cargo, or if it's a passenger ship, by how many cabins. And on the average, it's about $110,000 for these big ships to go all the way through the canal. They were saying that the cheapest fare ever paid was a guy named Halliburton, paid 36 cents back in 1935 to swim through the canal. Of course, that's not allowed anymore, but 36 cents. All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and call that a day. We're through with the Panama Canal, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow when we get into Limon, Costa Rica. And we weren't able to get a excursion, so we're going to kind of wander around and see what we can find. So look forward to seeing you then tomorrow. Bye.